This is probably one of the cheapest meta contenders in this format. What is up, guys? This is Tcg Sam here, and in today's video, I'm coming at you guys with an updated virtual world deck profile for the new May/June 2022 format. So I took this deck to locals, got second place with it, performed pretty well, way above my expectations, honestly. So yeah, if you want to hear the matchups, then do stick around until the end of the deck profile. I'll be covering it there. But with that being said, let's just hop straight into the deck profile. So starting off with the virtual world engine, this is all very standard. You absolutely have to max out on all of the hand effects. There's like no reason to play any less of these. You definitely always want to see one of these in your opening hand. Even if you start with something like Lao Lao, sending a spell and don't summon anything back, it's still incredibly good, and you can still do your full combo sometimes, even when you start like that. Then 2 Nian Nian. This is pretty standard, especially now with 2 Desires. You're going to be seeing it more often. You definitely want Nian Nian to be able to shuffle back face down banished cards to maintain your resources. You may notice I'm not playing 2/2. I know I normally advocate for 2/2 in virtual world decks, and there's a card you can take out for 2/2, which I'll mention later. But I decided to try it without 2/2 this time. I think 2/2 came up once, but the only time I find it really comes up is when you open specifically Lao Lao plus Qinglong plus like either like a duplicate Lao Lao or like a Gamma in your hand. And like those situations are just super rare, so I decided it wasn't really worth it in the end, so I decided not to play 2/2. For the virtual world other engine, very standard lineup. 3 Kowloon, 3 Qinglong, 2 Chuche, 1 copy of Shanwu. You actually do want to draw the Qinglong because it's not only is it good going second, but it also allows you to just have extra things to target. There are times where you're going to open like the big level 6s with no way to put a monster on the board, and then if you target the Qinglong, you still do your full combo from there. And of course, the traps are very standard. You definitely need to play a 2 Chuche because it desires, and of course, it's just a really, really good card. The other great thing is Kowloon and Qinglong essentially going second become like imperms as well, not in addition to your engines. So it makes it so you don't have to play as many hand traps, which you're gonna notice I'm not. For the other extender slash non-virtual world cards, 3 Italy, very standard, very powerful card in this deck. Can trigger your Nian Nian very easily, and of course gets you that Nian Nian onto the board to target, to have one of your monsters targeted. Plays very well going second as well, because now it just gives you a free tuner from the deck, or gives you a free thing to target without committing your normal summon, and that can be very important. And then Double Desires, very glad this card came back to 2. That's probably going to go back to 3 eventually, I would say, and it'll help this deck out a lot. Definitely adds a lot to the consistency, and you actually don't really care too much about the banishes because you're able to shuffle it back with Nian Nian as long as you don't banish both the Nian Nians. And even if you draw really badly, you just end up discarding it for your Qinglong or your Shanwu anyways, so it's really like no downside to this card in this deck. And then what I always like in virtual world decks, consistency. So triple Foolish Burial of Goods. You could consider playing something like Prosperity if you have it, but since I don't, Foolish Burial of Goods is what I feel is like the next best thing. My theory of Foolish Burial of Goods is, of course, it's not exactly a great starter because you're negging 1 to like get your virtual world card, and then you still have to have something to target. So it doesn't do anything like just on its own. You have to have other cards with it. But my theory was, if you're already playing, like, cool, the Foolish Burial of Goods is a free discard, or you can set it for Zulkin. Or if you can't play at all, then like Foolish Burial of Goods helps you a lot. But also the other big part is, if you start with something like summoning a monster, Nian Nian, activating a hand effect, if it gets stopped, Foolish Burial of Goods helps you play through that, because now you're able to send Qinglong to the graveyard, use the Qinglong to search another name, and then pitch the name you already used, because that name isn't doing anything in your hand. So Foolish Burial of Goods I really like for that reason. I definitely feel like it's necessary. I cut like a few of the hand traps for like 3 hand traps for these, and I think it's definitely worth it, because going second you have access to, like I mentioned, Qinglong and Kowloon. These can help you go second, trade 1 for 1 with cards like Mirror Jade, which came up a lot for me. And I just figured if I can play, then like I could definitely win the game, because this deck does so much when you're actually able to start your combos. So yeah, triple Foolish Burial of Goods is definitely something I would play. 1 Upstart Goblin. Obviously this is the 40th card. You can cut it for 2/2 if you want. I just wanted extra consistency because 2-2 isn't necessarily a starter by any means, and it just didn't come up enough. But yeah, this could be anything you want. One copy of Call by Grave, a very standard, very powerful card. And then for the going second non-engine cards, 3 talents and the Gamma package. So I am playing a pretty low count of going second cards for the reasons I mentioned, because like Kowloon and Qinglong I consider going second cards as well. But the reason I'm playing these ones specifically, Gamma is incredibly powerful in this deck. Not only is it a very good card going second as a hand trap because it removes the monster, but it also protects your hand effects and your like Kowloon from resolving going first. It's just honestly so insane because if you're able to resolve stick Gamma onto the board and actually summon it during like your turn, it makes it so you have an extra level 6 body with Driver, and you have a level 2 tuner with Gamma, which actually comes up because you're able to tune it with a card like Yugioh or a Stardust Charge Warrior to make Crystal Wing very easily. You don't have to go through the Zulkin play. And I caught off one of my opponents with that when I Gammaed them on my turn. They just didn't expect me to actually be able to make that play. So Gamma's an incredibly powerful card going first and going second. And of course, like worst case scenario, like you just end up discarding it if you resolve like your hand effects already. Triple Tactics Talent is also kind of in the same boat as Gamma. Going first, if you get hand trapped, you're able to either look at your opponent's hand if your hand's good enough, but if it's not good enough, you just draw 2. And there's so many good cards to draw. Like if you have a hand effect that's stopped, like drawing a card like any one of the virtual world names, Foolish Burial Goods, Desires, there's just so many good cards to draw off of this. Which makes it incredibly good. Going second, it also helps you play through boards. Like you can force something out by attempting to steal it, and you can just draw cards as well. This card is honestly insane. It's a great card you can set off of set for Zulkin as well. That's a big thing compared to like something like Call by the Grave. You can actually set this off of like from your hand, trigger the Zulkin, and then you still use it later in the turn if you want to. Oh, so yeah, those are the choices that I made it for going second cards. If you don't have a card like Talents, this can really just be anything. You can place something very cheap like Forbidden Chalice or something. That also works. Just any going second card in this slot. But I felt like personally, if you have access to Talents, it'd be pretty good in this deck. So 40 card main, very standard Virtual World. You definitely have to play 40 to maximize consistency. Starting off with the extra deck for the 9s, Shen, Vermilion, and Croc. So these two are very self-explanatory. I still really enjoy Croc because the way I play Virtual World, I have mentioned in previous videos, is post game 1, I decide to play Virtual Worlds differently than I would game 1. And what I mean by that is like I go for a bunch of draws. I realized that like drawing non-engine cards is incredibly strong in this deck that has access to all these draw cards. You're going to be seeing cards like Droll and Lockbird, Anti-Spell, Dimensional Barrier, stuff like that. Just huge blowout cards afterwards. And of course, Croc is also actually a really good disruption too. If you have just 2 extra random cards in your hand, you can just discard it and it becomes a pop 1, so it's an extra Chuche. And then the Zulkin Crystal Wing package is still pretty standard. I will mention though, I'm not playing Mud Dragon. You could consider playing the package. I feel like it's high risk, high reward. I really feel like I don't want to play it though. If I were to play it, I would play Invoke Caliga as the target, but otherwise, I felt like this was sufficient. A lot of the times, I just want to be able to like play through my opponents, like expect my opponent to have a hand trap, and then just summon something like Shen and Chuchi and get an advantage from there. So I feel like committing that much to the Mud Dragon isn't that worth it. For the 6s, 1 Juju, Charge Warrior, Coral Dragon. I think it's probably the most standard level 6 lineup. All of these definitely have their uses. Juju came up a lot for me as well. Now for the XYZs, this is where it gets like kind of weird. I am playing Fortune Tune. I really like the idea of having a very easy way to make a Zeus that like your opponent like just will struggle to deal with. Like once you put 2 level 3s on the board, most of the time people shouldn't expect you to play this card. So you can put this on top. You can attack, make a Zeus, or like down it if the situation is right. But yeah, you can make a Zeus very easily. And of course, Zeus is just honestly such an insane card. Gossip Shadow with this card was actually incredibly good. It came up a lot more than I expected. It makes it so when you have like Lulu plus a Nian that was like summoned from the grave, that's like a tuner. It makes it so those boards are kind of like just good. They're not like as useless as they were before, because now you're actually able to make a rank 3 that can actually shockingly be pretty good. It's just a monster negate. I will admit though, like, we aren't able to take advantage of the draw effect game 1 because we don't have any like good hand traps to draw into, so that's kind of an issue. But the other reason I play is because it's also good to protect you from Nibiru when you're not able to make your copy of Crystal Wing. And of course, Downward Magician, this is just extra fodder for Zeus. It also makes it so if you Gossip Shadow and use this effect, you can also turn it into Downward and a Zeus with 1 send. So yeah, I really valued Zeus pretty highly. For the 6s, 1 M7 and 1 Fan. These are the only 6s I feel like you really need. M7 can be good going first to grab you back extra resources. I did a lot of like plays where I would kind of cheat out virtual world names from my graveyard by adding it back instead of using Qinglong when I didn't have access to Lulu. And of course, like going second, it just removes threats like Mirror Jade from the board as well without triggering its effect. Just honestly such a great card. Fan's also incredibly good, very standard virtual world card. You definitely, like, this card is honestly just so insane against everything. And then 1 Gaia Dragon, so same idea with Downward. I always wanted a Zeus after I make an XYZ that had like additional sends, because if you use Fan, you have to detach 2, and then you can't make a Zeus afterwards. But if you make Gaia Dragon, then you got the Zeus. Speaking of Zeus, that's the last card. Very, very standard in virtual world. I'm gonna quickly go over my side deck, but just note that this is gonna change like format to format depending on when you're watching this. So 3 Droll, 3 Dark Ruler, 3 Cosmic, 3 Evenly, 3 D-Barrier. Droll is pretty good in the meta right now against like the Therion decks, the Drytron decks. Dark Ruler is pretty good against like any just big, even against like something like Sword Soul, like stopping a Chisha and a Baron is already really, really good. Cosmic Evenly for like those back row matchups. Evenly also is pretty good against Sword Soul, because a Sword Soul player is more likely to make the Sinister Longyeon, because it's actually Sinister Longyeon is incredibly powerful against the virtual world, because actually banishing like your Qinglong or your Chuche like really hurts you. So evenly matches, they're gonna be punished by evenly matched more often. And of course, D-Barrier is just insane in this format. It doesn't matter if you turn off like your own synchros against like virtual world, because like they're not doing anything that turn. So yeah, that's it for the side deck. And that's it for the deck profile. I said I would go over the matchups really quickly. So going into the matchups, I played 4 rounds at locals. Round 1 I played against Tri Brigade Lyrilusk, won that 2-0. Round 2 I played against Branded Despia, won that 2-1. I should have won it 2-0, but I misplayed a very hard game 2 because I forgot he had a Branded in Red set from earlier in the game, and I kind of just played into it when I thought I had game on board. But I did manage to take it down game 3. Round 3 I played against Evil Twin, and that's going to be the feature match that's going to be shown on my channel, so do stay tuned for that. We won that one 2-0. And then finally, in the last round, we played against Dinos. Unfortunately, we lost 1-2. Game 3 was just honestly super unfortunate for me. My opponent had Gamma Imperm, so he stopped my Zolkin, he stopped my Roshi Lao Lao, and then all I could end with was a Chuchi and a Gossip Shadow. And I thought that was like not too bad, because as long as he didn't have like hard draw and Misk, but he had like Pankratops, Lost World, Overraptor, and like and Cosmic to out my Chuchi, so I just really couldn't do anything that game. So unfortunately, we do lose that one, but in the end, yeah, we ended up 2nd place. Pretty good showing overall, considering this deck is one of the cheapest meta options out there if you swap out like the expensive staples. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this type of content, be sure to let me know by leaving a like, commenting, and subscribing. I will be posting a quick test hand video coming up right after this one. If you want to see like more in-depth combos or test hands, I have plenty of videos on those on my channel. So if you just browse around the channel, you'll definitely see like a playlist with like all the competitive virtual world videos that I've made on there. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.